Imagine coming across a person who lacks the ability to differentiate between what is morally right and wrong. Imagine this person seems to be devoid of any emotions. Imagine this person is highly manipulative and is actually good at it. Yes, all this describes a sociopath, and we live in a world with plenty of them. You all may have heard of Hannibal Lecter and his various grotesque antics that have been used as a source of comparative studies as well as various other kinds of studies over the years. The man was a total sociopath, due to which he gained major fame. For those of you who don't know who Hannibal Lecter is, well, he's a forensic psychiatrist who on the side was a sociopathic serial killer who ate his victims. Sounds totally disgusting, we agree. But how do you find out if a person is a sociopath? Hello and welcome to our channel, First Class Mind. In this video, I will talk you through 5 signs that could help you in identifying a sociopath. So without further ado, let's get started. Sociopaths are not born but created. Unlike psychopaths, sociopaths behave the way they do depend on some past trauma or PTSD that they may suffer from. In the case of Hannibal Lecter, according to his pathology, he was traumatized as a child when his sister Misha was murdered and cannibalized. Some people get over such horrendous moments, while others simply turn into sociopaths. So now the big question is, how do we identify if we're talking to a sociopath? 1. Lack of empathy. We all are human beings, and without having empathy, surviving is hard. Empathy is a trait that we humans possess where we understand and share feelings with one another. For instance, if someone is sad, we give them a hug, and if someone is happy, we congratulate or rejoice with them. But sociopaths lack empathy and don't feel guilty when they hurt others. Sociopaths are not remorseful either. They cannot relate to the sadness or happiness of others and often do not know how to respond to such news. They usually have a blank stare on their face, or at times, they respond with a reply that's not appropriate for the situation. For example, if someone passes away, they feel nothing and only hold on to a blank stare. Imagine Hannibal trying to react at a funeral. Well, that is if the remains of his victims are not digested yet. 2. Dark empaths. Sociopaths are usually dark empaths who are often found playing manipulative games such as gaslighting. They manipulate others for their own benefit and can go to any extent with their manipulation. They do the manipulation with great ease that is so hard to understand if the person is actually being genuine or manipulative. Hannibal Lecter was quite manipulative, and that's how he would draw in his victims. In fact, one of his victims happened to be a census taker whose liver he apparently consumed with some fava beans and shanti. Now that is some really dark empath stuff he had going on. Speaking of dark empaths, manipulation is something that they are professional at. They will find what you want and try to give it to you in return for your loyalty and trust. They do all this in quite a vague way that the victim does not even know what is happening. The manipulation is often accompanied by lying. Lying is quite natural to them, and they feel no remorse for doing so. In fact, their lies are often backed up by more lies, and it's a never-ending chain. Their lying can go to any extent, and they can even make the lie seem as if it's the truth. Moreover, they can look you in the eye and lie just to manipulate you. They don't falter with eye contact, nor swallow down the lump in their throat when they lie. Lying to them is like an everyday process, and this goes on till they get what they want out of the manipulation. It's an internal urge that lives within them, making it hard for them not to manipulate. 3. Spectacular first impression. Imagine meeting a person who's kind, sweet, and caring. The person seems to be a genuinely good human. Quite a great first impression, right? But what if this is all a facade that they have pulled up for some ulterior motives? Apart from having negative traits such as frustration, anger, and sadness, sociopaths also possess positive traits such as amusement and happiness. This is of course relative to the situation or experience that they're a part of. Sociopaths usually display their good side when they interact with their potential victims for the first time. Following that encounter, the victim is as good as dead. At least that was the case with Hannibal Lecter and his victims. So yes, sociopaths usually put up a good first impression when they meet you. They're charming, helpful, and extremely friendly. They will laugh at your jokes even if it's not funny, and will follow your lifestyle just to get them in your good books. All these are mind games that they play to get you to assume that they are just like you. Once that is achieved, the manipulation starts. In the case of Hannibal Lecter, the man was a very intelligent individual who had impeccable manners. He mingled with high-class people and had exquisite taste in music and art. However, he hated rude people and ate the people who were rude. Of course, prior to that, he got extremely close to them, following which he devoured them. Many even called him the Robin Hood of killers, as he killed, or should we say murdered, the terminally rude people. 4. Sociopath stare. Apart from having questionable character traits, sociopaths do exhibit some external traits that are quite off. Yes, we're indeed talking about their body language. The kind of eye contact that they have is quite eerie and totally sets the tone of the room as an uncomfortable one. Many may call this a sociopath stare, which is quite scary, we must say. The eye contact that sociopaths have is deep and intense and usually does not involve blinking. Nervousness doesn't seem to be a part of their dictionary, and lying is of first nature to them. Not so long ago, a study on Elizabeth Holmes and how her sociopath behavior led to the quick rise and downfall of Theranos was all over the news. The woman was a part of plenty of interviews, and in them, it was noticed that she would barely blink. In fact, she went on for more than 10 seconds without blinking. It was quite odd, and her behavior and body language are being studied by many psychologists as we speak. Back to sociopaths and their body language, they have an overall cold look that radiates that they are uncaring of what is happening around them. They could be in the middle of a bloody crime scene, yet feel nothing at all. Many have compared this look to one that is aggressive or cunning. If one looks into their eyes, it looks lifeless and so vacant. The same was the case with Hannibal Lecter. In fact, even while mutilating his victims, he would have a blank death stare on his face with a relaxed composure. Once the sociopath is in its predatory mode, their look is quite unsettling and is quite calculating, intimidating, and cold. When they're in the predatory mode, the person standing opposite to the sociopath would definitely get scared and nervous if they were to be in such a scenario. Anyone would want to flee on seeing a person near them who had such a demeanor. According to studies, this stare has been associated with narcissism and psychopathy. These are some prominent traits that one would find in a sociopath. 5. Turn off their emotional switch. Turning off one's emotional switch may seem like something foreign, especially when having emotions is innate in humans. Emotions are quite complicated, especially if the person having them is not able to control them. Sociopaths are not able to control their emotions, and their emotions are usually quite heightened, may they be positive or negative ones. To further add to this, their movements and expressions are rather robotic and may seem unnatural. This showcases how they lack guilt, no matter what crime they have committed. Hannibal Lecter always bore a smile after a crime and even before it. Even when they tied a mask around Hannibal's mouth, you could see his gaping smile through it. Sociopaths are also quite impulsive in whatever they do. Hannibal was quite impulsive with his antics and would do what he felt at the moment. When he had the victim in his grasp, his mind would deviate to dangerous places before which he would do it and then gulp down his victims. Though he was not the kind of man to get angry, in such situations, anger flowed through his veins. In fact, anyone who was close to him when he was in such a good mood was surely going to face a horrible death. Hannibal the Cannibal is one of the best examples of a sociopath, and his case has been used in various psychological studies. If you've watched this entire video, you probably can identify a sociopath now before it gets too late, like what happened with Hannibal Lecter's victims.